Welcome back to the Kiev Major. It is time to get hyped if you are a CIS Dota fan, because the CIS favourites are in the stadium and ready to play the final series of the night. That's right, they've left the best till last. That's as far as the home crowd are concerned, as Virtus.pro go head-to-head with IG Vitality. We've refreshed our panel once more. Conrad has come back to join us alongside Fogt and Gods. Good afternoon, good evening. I can't remember what time zone we're in right now, but it's been a long day. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been good.
Good Dota?
I thought I wasn't gonna make it all the way to the end, but got some second wind of energy during that last series. Yeah, ready to go, ready to watch VP.
It's a good Dota today, though.
Yeah,
it's been very interesting matches. Conrad, enjoying?
Yeah, everything's been fantastic. That last series with between Digital Chaos and VGJ.
Very interesting, wasn't it? It wasn't quite as cool maybe as the previous two, but there was still some stuff in there. It was ooh.
Yeah, I really actually thought DC was going to come really strong out of the group stage there, but. Ended up falling to VGJ. Quite a surprise to me, and I'm very excited for this next series.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into this next series. We're waiting for the players to come out. Obviously, you can see them backstage. They'll be coming out any moment. We'll probably cut you off in the middle of a sentence at some point before they come out. But let's just quickly talk about this overall, Gods. This isn't as clear-cut, perhaps, as maybe some casual fans that have just tuned in and seen the rankings might be led to believe, because on paper you look at it and you go, it's second versus 15, this should be a Virtus.pro win. IG Vitality are so much better than that.
Absolutely. They've been one of the uprising teams in China for some time. They've been winning a lot of qualifiers there. They managed to get top 4 at DAC recently. This has been a real emerging team. They've got great skill in Paparazi, one of the 9K MMR players there, and I think it's a really tough round 1 matchup for VP. I mean, we're at a major, every team's going to be tough, but you think you go 3-0, you get top 2, one of the top 2 seeds, you think you're going to get an easier matchup, but not the case for VP.
Yeah, it could be a banana skin, this one, couldn't it?
A banana skin, huh?
Yeah, that you slip on. Like, you're supposed to just go running through it. And
Is that a British term?
It's a British term. Banana skin comes down and you fall over.
David?
I was going to glance at you guys in this pick. What the hell is this guy
I'm a little
saying
bit
to me?
lost, to be honest.
Have I British memed you? I'm sorry.
You got us.
It makes
Got
sense.
us.
It makes sense. It
Got
does.
him.
I think it could be. However, taking a look at some of those IGV games from the group stages, they seem to be struggling heavily.
Yeah.
It seems like people
They're
are
rough.
targeting Dogfights really heavily, because he's like their big playmaker, and the rest of them just don't really end up making to a point. They don't even end up making it most of the time to like the late game. They end up losing around like the 30-minute mark in like all their matches. So I'm a bit worried for them versus VP, because VP seems to be extremely dominant in all 3 aspects: laning, mid game, and toward the late game as well.
I guess, you're right. Conrad, it's a bit worrying in a way for them, is it? Because Virtus.pro, if you trust what Lil says, and I have no reason not to, at the end of 3 games, what did he say? We're not really playing our good stuff yet. We've just kind of messed around a little bit.
I mean, that level of confidence is going to be pushing them forward for sure in these next few games.
Okay, I'm going to have to cut you off. Sorry, Conrad. We are ready for the players in the arena, so let's head over there right now to introduce you to both teams.
One of the favorites in Boston. They've kept a low profile this season, but when the Kiev Major came calling, they delivered in style. Virtually untouchable in the regional qualifiers, they cruised to victory after a flawless group stage and dominated their competition. Representing their region in the first ever CIS Major. top 4 at DAC and winners of the WC8 2016. Their domestic success is unquestionable. And their run in Shanghai was a clear warning of just how dangerously talented this team is. Boasting a world-class carry and 1v1 DAC champion Paparazi, as well as cunning roamer dogfights, this team will exploit any signs of weakness and is not to be underestimated. Welcome on stage, IG Vitality.
There we go then. Teams will shake hands as they enter their booths. And for some, I guess motivation comes from being told, no, you're not good enough. One of those players that's been told that plenty of times in his career is Lil, who embodies plenty of things about him. Stubborn, idealist, and a perfectionist. All the wrong things then for a team player. At least that's what we thought.
Я пришел к тому, к чему я пришел, потому что люди в меня не верили. Ты никогда не станешь сильным, ты никогда не запишешься в зал, ты никогда не получишь красный диплом. Я брал это все, накапливал и мотивировался. Родился я в 95 году в городе Александрия, Кировоградская область. Ну, изначально моя мама работала в компьютерном клубе. Когда мне было 3 года, она меня постоянно приводила в компьютерный клуб, она была там администратором.
И в конце рабочего дня обычно он со своим отцом приходили меня встречать, и заодно сидели, играли на приставках.
Когда мне было 8 лет, я был во 2 классе, мои родители уехали на заработки за границу, мама уехала в Москву, отец уехал в Ашхабад работать, и я вплоть до 8 класса жил с бабушкой.
С раннего детства он был довольно спокойным, но он был очень упертым. То есть если он что-то для себя там решил, или если он чего-то не хочет сделать, то есть было бесполезно его заставлять. То есть он всегда старался отстаивать свою точку зрения или там то, что он хочет сделать.
И когда как раз я должен был переходить в 9 класс, и мне мама сказала, что она очень хотела бы, чтобы я приехал сюда и заканчивал здесь учебу. И у меня не было как такого выбора, да и на самом деле меня там ничего не держало, то есть у меня не было каких-то супер близких друзей. Я очень много времени сидел дома, уделял время доте. Она мне дала какую-то денежку, я ходил в клуб и рубился с пацанами в доту, хотя я там совсем был новичком. И я играл как они и лучше. Чувствовать эту командную игру, взаимодействовать с ребятами, общаться, чтобы были какие-то друзья.
Честно говоря, Илья абсолютно, на мой взгляд, не умеет производить первое впечатление. И когда я его впервые встретила, я подумала, что он не приживется на дота-сцене, особенно в СНГ. И мне казалось, что он не обладает необходимыми качествами для того, чтобы работать в команде и в коллективе. В какой-то момент он начал со мной делиться своими переживаниями, не знаю, спрашивать какого-то совета. И я поняла, что это абсолютно другой человек, нежели мне показалось изначально.
Раньше у меня была цель иметь команду, которая была не просто команда, а это была бы семья, где были бы друзья, где люди слушали бы друг друга. И так получилось, что сейчас я это имею, моя мечта сбылась.
Для него, я думаю, это самый важный момент, чтобы он мог доверять и верить людям, с которыми он играет в команде. То есть для него это не просто работа. Его тиммейты — это его друзья.
Сам по себе я идеалист и перфекционист. Я в течение года уже занимаюсь на площадке, хожу на турники в Руси. Это очень помогает отвлечься, да и, в принципе, это полезно. основное мое жизненное кредо — это, то есть, быть лучше, чем ты есть. И я никогда, то есть, насколько я не был бы хорош в чем-то, я всегда буду стремиться быть лучше. Я хожу в джим, получил красный диплом. Я добился успеха в доте, потому что я такой человек.
Great stuff from Lil. A familiar story to a few Dota 2 players. The struggle, of course, to get to the top, and always with a few doubters along the way. He's a bit of an enigma, I guess you could call him, in the CIS scene. Very outspoken. We've heard from him in the group stages. Gods, he had that wonderful interview where he was telling us that, yeah, we haven't really played our best stuff yet. We're not treating the groups too seriously. No teams are. We've played a few funky heroes. And yet, actually, they look really good in groups too.
Yeah, VP have. He's always been a bit of a polarizing figure in the way that he's very outspoken. Often comes off just as cocky, arrogant, rude. Like, he'll straight up say, like, we're going to be in the finals, our next match is easy, and stuff like this. Like, which maybe from the opposing teams can be a bit insulting, but the guy is just that confident in himself, his team. He said he's finally found that kind of home for himself at VP, where they're not just teammates, they're friends, they're family. And I think with the way VP's been playing at Boston, and even since then, like, they have good reason to be confident and cocky. They're the best CIS team by a huge margin.
Yeah, and Conrad, we need players like that, really, don't we? I know it upsets some people, and some people can get their back up with things that are said controversially, but as a scene, don't we need cool characters like this?
Yeah, I mean, even as a non-trash talker, I really love Lil's presence. I think he brings a really interesting flair and a confidence that I don't think we see a lot amongst players, especially so publicly. And I think his interviews just really bring a smile to my face. You know, I like to see it when players are confident because it shows that they are ready for anything.
Yeah, and he said in the piece, he said, I'm stubborn, I'm an idealist, I'm a perfectionist. Those are all things that rub people up the wrong way, aren't they, in a team? And yet here he is with a bunch of friends, as he calls them, in his team, in a family. It's worked out really well.
When you're that good and you work hard at it and strive at it, I think you back up your points. Yeah. I think he's done a pretty good job at doing that with his plays and just to the way he's progressed since, even the old VP, when he's made like a lot of incredible individual plays.
Got to back it up now. It's time to bring a title home for Virtus.pro, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Big team, big organisation, hungry for success, done lots of that in other games. Isn't it time for that to step up and bring one home for Dota?
I put them on my bracket.
I
put them to win.
You.
I know. I think so. Lil convinced me when he sounded so confident in his interview. Honestly.
Okay. How do they avoid defeat? Because that's the other problem here, isn't it? They've been in this position before. They were favourites heading into Boston in many people's eyes, and then they flunked it. So how do they pass their exams this time around?
Well, one good thing is that they passed this one last time. They played each other the very first round in Boston, and it was a click 2-0. And that was a IGV that had Burning and Q in it. So if anything, I feel like that's quite an improvement on that team. And obviously, we've seen the success of Invictus Gaming earlier today.
Yeah, let's switch our attention to Invictus Gaming Vitality. Again, we said at the top of the start of this show, they shouldn't be here really, but they are. Do you feel that maybe, even though they underperformed in the groups, that maybe they weren't trying that hard? I mean, Lil said that not all the teams are taking it seriously. In fact, I think he said none of the teams are taking it seriously.
I think IGV's not in that category. I think they're a team that's going through some struggles right now. They did get 4th place at DAC, but I think if you look at how they got there, the teams they beat and the way they won, it was kind of scrappy. It was never super convincing. They had wins against like LFY. So I think even at DAC, IGV never sold me on their ability to compete against the top tier 1 teams. I feel like I'm still waiting to see. I think IGV have what it takes, but that ability to be competitive with the real top echelon of Dota 2, the VP right now, the EGs, the OGs, the IGs, we just haven't seen that yet on the main stage.
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing for their fans, isn't it, Conrad? Because actually, when it comes to China, they do really well against the other Chinese. They won the Chinese qualifying, what is probably the most mental qualifier that we had of all of the regions.
Yeah, and I mean, they were recently playing, just the other week. They got second place at DPL just under Newbie, another one of the favorites. It's a really interesting thing to see, them kind of falter here. I didn't think the 7.05 change was going to be that affected to them, but they have not been able to adapt.
Yeah, indeed. Fogged, we mentioned that this could be a banana skin. As I put it, for Virtus.pro. But likewise, the other way round in a way, this is probably the worst draw for IG Vitality. Bearing in mind all the things we've said, if they'd matched up against another Chinese team, you'd thought, actually,
Exactly.
might have a good chance here, because they know these guys. Matching a team from the CIS that they won't have had a chance to look at too much or play since they qualified, that's tough for them, isn't it?
I think it's really hard. And also playing versus this VP who has so much versatility that they've shown, picking, like they said in the group stage, just picking 22 different heroes in 5 games.
Yeah.
Like, how do you really how do you really know how to ban or really what to adjust to be able to play versus this team? Taking lessons quickly at IG Vitality's things, whenever they're playing versus a team, they heavily focus their bans and stuff is specifically versus that team. It's not like, oh, we don't want to play versus this hero. It's like, oh, this team is very good at that. But VP just showed that they will draft whatever they want in whatever situation.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty hard for them to adjust. And IG Vitality seems to, they're I guess for the group stages, like we said, we don't know if they were, I guess you could say not really trying entirely, but they've been switching their drafting around completely, moving roles as well with Paparazi and Sakata in the mid lane and carry. So they're changing up a lot of things, and I think maybe it's a little bit too many ideas and could be messing with them.
Too many cooks spoil the broth. We're going to check out the featured matchup, which we've picked out Paparazi and Ramses. I think 2 fantastically exciting players, Gods, and in terms of not so much matching up against each other, but what they provide for their teams. Just explain what they provide for their 2 teams.
I mean, for Paparazi, it's the raw individual skill. This is a team that succeeds the most when they can play around him, when he's having a good games. He is the guy to look to. As far as the big picture of the game goes, his teammates have to enable him, have to set him up for success. For VP, Ramses maybe a little bit of a different category. He's incredibly talented. I think his biggest asset to this team is his versatility. He plays such a huge array of heroes. See it there. Axe is one of his heroes. He's a carry player. This is the guy who brought safe lane farming Beastmaster into the meta if you go back a year ago. This guy's hero pool is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
He'll play whatever he's needed, whether it's a fighting carry, the Ursas, the Jugs. He can play the greedier carries too. He plays absolutely anything for VP.
And that's part of their flexibility, isn't it, Conrad, in that they can be crafty in the draft. They can just focus on banning out the other team's strong heroes without worrying about what they want to play or what they don't want to play, and then just react to what happens in it.
Yeah, reminds me a lot of Wings at TI6. That team, it felt like it was really hard to ban out certain heroes. You just ban out what's powerful against that team.
You might as well just not ban anything.
Exactly, and hope they kind of take. I mean, both these guys, they're fantastic carries. I think they're going to really be the driving force on and how each of these teams are going to be successful in this game.
Yeah, I think one specific thing that comes to mind for me for Paparazi was the way that he brought the team together, but also the way that he did at DAC. That one Juggernaut game that he had, they were massively losing. His individual performance in that game literally carried them that game. He decided to purchase a Silver Edge, decided to do split push. His decision-making in the games is going to be very important for them in this. And I think him matching up versus Ramses is interesting because I feel like Ramses is much more aggressive and more of I don't really want to say more of a solo kind of guy, but Paparazi plays for his team entirely, while Ramses kind of sometimes is doing kind of his own thing, just making space for his teammates as well.
Just to back up some of the things you guys have already said, his 5 most played heroes since 7.0, Ursa, Jug, Troll, Lifestealer, Slug. Nothing crazy, too crazy in there, but since he's been here, Terrorblade, Troll, Sven, Jug, Venomancer. Just stuff that no one else is playing or has even gone near or even thought about right now. So, obviously, offering some pretty crazy options for them, but it doesn't end there because it's almost everyone on the team. No one. Sniper, DK, Invoker, TA, Troll, Skyrath, Mid, Ember, Timber, Storm. In 10 different games.
Yep, good luck banning that.
I mean,
good luck banning
ban
versus that, right?
Even with one guy, if you focus on Ramses, you can't ban him out of the tournament, can't ban him out of the game. But you can't ban the team out either. So where do they focus bans? Do they focus them on the supports, maybe stop them roaming so much? Do they focus on one player, just ban 5 of his heroes? What do they do?
I think they should focus on themselves.
Honestly. I don't think there's an answer to that question of what you ban. I mean, obviously they have to ban some things, ban some meta heroes, but focus on your own drafts.
Yep.
I think that's actually where VP are so much scarier maybe at this tournament than they were at Boston, because at Boston they were too predictable. You knew what they're going to pick. I remember being on panels and like everyone would just call every VP pick because if they ban X hero, then they're always going to pick Y hero. So I feel like VP has lost that element of predictability that they had at Boston.
Probably a good strength to have as well. Before we get into our draft, we do have an interview with Paparazi, who was with Shiva just before the round of 16 began. Let's find out what he had to say.
Hi, Paparazi from IG Vitality. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. Now, you made a big impression on the Western scene, especially during DAC. But thinking about DAC, you got hugged by SACC on stage. Can you tell me what that was like for you?
我被他抱起来的时候，感觉当时整个人也挺懵的吧，然后也挺绝望的。
Okay, that got a lot of media attention. There were photoshops, I believe, and a lot of people were talking about it. What is it like for you dealing with the community afterwards from that?
我也不太知道，觉得我自己倒觉得无所谓吧。然后，其他粉丝这些开心就好吧。
You won the 1v1 championship. You are the best solo mid in the world right now. Well-deserved title. Were you expecting to win that tournament, the 1v1?
没有吧，就是当时，反正没有遇到，就是想，然后自己尽力打吧。
Now, normally you play carry, unless there's an Invoker picked, and then normally you are the one playing that for your team. How do you like swapping roles between mid and carry like that?
我也不知道该怎么说，就是因为我们中单不太会使用，就是卡玩的不是很好，所以才我去玩这个卡。我觉得1号位能队伍之间能协调好，是能够换着打的吧。
Now, IG Vitality qualified as first seed coming from the Chinese qualifiers, and you beat your sister team, IG. How was that? Is there some extra pride there, beating your sister team?
我觉得当时只是个意外，我们也没有想到吧。然后我们两个队伍之间关系还是挺好的，不会把他们锤了，我们也没那么开心吧。当时也是希望他们也能够出现吧，不要因为被我们锤了而出现不了。
Because you have close relations with them. I believe you were in the same building as them for your team house.
对，我们基地是在同一栋楼，然后我们在5楼，他们在31楼，这样。
That's actually a very big difference between the two. A lot of floors in between. Do you do a lot of things together?
我们只有就是互相赢得了比赛，然后就会互相问这个版本什么阵容厉害，什么英雄厉害，会讨论这些吧。
Do you scrim together a lot? Are they your regular practice partner?
我们两个队伍是也会经常训练吧。
Do you do things outside of the game with your team and perhaps also with your sister team?
应该我们都不会吧，因为我比较宅，然后基本休息都是宅在基地里面单排，然后睡觉、看动漫这些。
Sorry, no other games that you play other than Dota 2?
我只玩DotA，其他游戏不会玩。
Previous major, Boston Major. Unfortunately, of course, you had to go to the Boston Major without 2 of your members. You had to play with stand-ins due to visa issues, which was very unfortunate. Still, you looked fairly strong. How do you feel like going into this major? How do you feel as a team this time compared to then?
我们现在的队伍也状态一般吧，然后我们也希望不要被一轮游了吧，然后尽力打好自己的就行了。
I hope so too for you. In Boston, obviously without 2 members, how did you deal with that as a team when you got the news that it was not going to happen with the 5 of you at that point?
我们当时因为少了2个人嘛，就去的时候也没有抱那种太夺冠这种希望吧，就希望去了能够打好一点，打好自己的就行了吧。
What's the communication like within your team at the moment when, for example, you have a player in your team, Dogfights, who is known for causing a lot of issues for the enemy team? Is he, for example, very loud when he does that?
Dogfight 的话，他不会，他这个人话比较少吧，然后我 我们队伍一般是由我们3号位InJuly这样指挥然后说话的。
Yeah, InJuly started drafting right before the qualifiers for this major. Before that, it was Super. Was that a big shift in your team, a big change?
因为之前我们当时是以舒鹏选的，然后当时队伍感觉选的阵容不是很理想吧，然后也一直输，然后就调整成InJuly选人了吧。因为输多了，所以必须得做出调整。
All right. And now, how does the draft go? Is he the sole decider of what's happening and who's playing what, or does everybody give some input?
基本都是他做决定吧，然后我们其他队员也会给一些意见吧。
All right. Now, this group stage so far, it hasn't been going great. So, going into the main event, do you feel like you've isolated the issues that you have as a team going forward?
我们也是，可能大家状态都不是很好吧。然后输了多，大家都没，因为大家感觉是状态都不太好吧，整个队伍的状态都不太好。然后正赛的时候，我们这2天也自己会调整，然后调整，希望打正赛的时候能有一个好的状态吧。
I hope so too for you, Paparazi. I wish you all the best in the main event. Good luck, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of you.
谢谢。
谢谢 Thank you.
Well, not the most confident of interviews, was it? It has to be said. But nevertheless, IG Vitality going head-to-head with Virtus.pro. Got to be on their best behaviour today and pull out all the stops, all of the drafts that they can possibly get in here. And just looking at the team fold, everything about it right now says no, says negative, says bad form, says poor drafting, bad decisions on here. Just everything about the team. But for some reason, there is something about them that just makes me think this is still not a team to kind of brush aside. That you can't ignore the quality that they've got.
I mean, they've got high individual skill. They've got a big innovative player as well coming out of dogfights. I think he's actually the one who introduced the Riki, or he was the one who was spamming the Riki, and I think maybe even Baboka may have gotten it from him kind of in a way, since they're kind of similar organizations in a way. So I'm really interested to see how they're able to develop and if they have the confidence. I mean, listen to that interview. He didn't sound too confident, but I think they have to put a lot of confidence in InJuly for this one, just to see how he can captain and direct this team versus a team like VP right now.
Okay, we're going to turn our attention to the draft race shortly. Gods, we were talking earlier about the various different heroes of Ramses and no one in particular, but it continues through the whole team. It's not just limited to player. I mean, Pasha, for instance, his top 5 coming into this tournament: Darkseer, Centaur, Omni, Sand King, Nyx, fairly standard set of offlaners, but since he's been here, he's played Legion Commander twice, Magnus, Darkseer, and Clockwork.
Seems happy to try out some of the more meta heroes like the Magnus, but then also experiment is Clockwork still good? And that, VP strength really is their versatility, whereas I feel IGV need to get some of their players on key heroes in order for them to even stand a chance to begin with. I feel like maybe the InJuly Batrider, the Dogfights Pudge or Riki, these kind of players need to get these key heroes for them, and not just that, but they also need to play the best game of their lives on these key heroes. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a bit of a wash.
Yeah, Conrad, do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Making sure that you're going to be able to counter anything that IGV comes out, having that deep hero pool is going to be really strong for them coming into this. And I think we're going to see them hopefully utilized in a very interesting way.
Yeah, there's not necessarily heroes' fault that they're going to battle over there, is there? Maybe potentially the Monkey King, I guess, but it's not like it's been doing particularly well at this tournament. So maybe that's not a big fight over that one. Maybe Virtus.pro are quite happy to just let them have the Monkey King. Yeah,
maybe Monkey King, maybe the Mag. I think VP was starting to look like they liked it a bit, and I think IG Vitality was grabbing it, even though they did lose with the games. I think that they drafted it. I think that was, I think that's just a good approach for them to try to go for. I think also I do like what Parker's saying, was kind of go for their comfort, go back toward InJuly Batrider, even though Batrider is not really having the greatest situations. That's when I think that they've looked their best. I think maybe even also, this is weird because I'm kind of telling them to swap the role again, which I'm not really the biggest fan of, but I think when Paparazi's playing the Invoker and stuff, that's when they really look their best, in my opinion. At DAC, that's when they shined, and I think that's the getting one of the Paparazzi heroes for mid, and then securing one of Dogfight's early heroes in the early phase.
If there's a weakness to Vitality in terms of a hero pool, is it in the offlane with InJuly? Is he relatively limited? And just in specifically in this meta, because it seems like, he's played the Batrider a lot, he's played the Centaur a lot, the Darkseer a lot, Sand King, Nyx. They're all kind of 702 to 704 kind of heroes, and maybe not necessarily the kind of heroes that we're seeing in the offlane that are popularized here.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit, but I think if you have a player who's very confident on those heroes, it can really help. And I know he was always very confident in his Batrider. The one thing is also though that, and going into the main stage, I know Jack had told me that he does have a nickname in China, and it's Nervous Bro. So I don't know if maybe that's kind of actually maybe putting a little bit of a factor going being on this, like the main stage in front of so many people. He does tend to get a little bit nervous from time to time.
At DAC, when they won their first round match, in the post-game interview, there was like a, man, like it was like, what do you hope to achieve moving forward? And they're like, we're just happy we finally won a match on LAN. They literally said this from the guy, like, we finally won a game on LAN, guys. Like, oh, whoa, okay.
I mean, I think sometimes we forget that this is actually the junior team of IG, because they've had just some outstanding results over the last 6 to 8 months, and so it's easy sometimes for us to forget that this is a relatively brand new team full of youngsters, and that they are here for experience. They are looking to see what they can gain when they come to these big tournaments, and perhaps there's too much expectation on them.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think there's some of the players. I mean, you've got like players like InJuly in one case, who's been around for ages and ages, just never broken out in a top tier team, and it seems like he's close but just not quite there. Then you have got the youngsters, the Paparazis, the Sakatas, who are trying to make a name for themselves and compete at the level. Dogfights, I think, is a really talented kind of creative player, which is what he brings to the table. But it still is really a learning experience for them.
I'm waiting to hear how loud the crowd gets too. I mean, this is VP. This is their turf. I want to see is that really going to have an effect in a way too? Like them hearing the shouts and yelling.
I mean, if they're nervous in any way, then the crowd are going to help them, aren't they? That's for sure. Right, let's get into the draft. Then draft number 1 is underway. We've had a few picks as well in here. Crystal Maiden Nurse are opening from Virtus.pro.
They picked so fast.
They picked like they didn't even care what IGV was going to grab.
Yep, no, they've got a plan, haven't they? They're just going to execute it for game 1, see where it takes them.
They banned the tree, they banned the Venge. IGV had pretty successful games with the Vengeful Spirit, and they literally don't care. They just grab their heroes. No hesitation.
They ban their heroes. Like Weaver's banned half a second
Weaver banned right away.
God, we're going to be out of here in no time, guys.
Everything is so quick. Both teams have full reserve time still. I think both teams look like they came into play.
I mean, they've had all day long a lot of 3-game series to theory craft their draft, so I think that's part of it, where often teams like on the day will be talking more about their drafts, and all of these teams have probably been up at least since 11, 12 o'clock and probably plotting and planning.
So they do secure Dogfights hero very early with the Ricky. He's like we were talking about, he's one of the staple Ricky players, if not one of the inventors of it into this meta for a while.
Very important.
I think it's important for them to secure his hero early. Yeah, he's been getting targeted a lot in the bans from the teams that he's been playing versus Earth Spirit. His Ricky either gets grabbed or banned. And then the Omni Knight, I feel like that's kind of taking a page out of VGJ.
Yep.
Seeing how so much success they had versus DC, I think that might have influenced them a little bit coming into this one.
Last few weeks in the Chinese scene, they play a lot more online matches, being DPL, Starlight qualifies. Omni Knight's kind of become very meta pick for the offlane. So it seems like IGV just going to stick with that since they've likely been playing it a bit and seeing it succeed.
Banning out the Doom. Looks like they're... I mean, I think what VP picked it. I think they picked it once. No, maybe one of the games, but it's also extremely good versus the Omni Knight. Just being able to get this, just lock him down. If you get doomed as an Omni Knight, all your team fight's gone. So.
Saw it earlier in the Newbie Liquids game.
Yes.
Saw it twice.
Taking out the Batrider here as well. That's an interesting one.
Huh. That is actually...
That feels like one of theirs.
Yeah, it does.
Hopefully they didn't try and pick it.
No, I mean, they had their own plan.
Yeah, no, I think they're maybe they know that Omni Knight maybe doesn't face very well against Batrider in this situation.
Yeah, could be something like that. I mean, InJuly knows a lot about that hero. It's one of his most played, so definitely a possibility. It's also very good vision, grabbing Gong versus the Omni Knight, being able to get in the backlines and finding him.
That's something we were talking about earlier. It looks like IGV is very focused on making sure Nine Pasha does not have the heroes that he feels comfortable on.
Oh yeah, banning out 3.5 offlaners kind of in a way.
Jose, Poli said, how do you ban against this team? Do you just do 5 bans to 1 player? Well, yeah, that's what
looks like so.
But they decided to pick on Pasha this game. It might be a different player next game.
Slaughter, yeah, probably
Sounds-
Lil's hero. He's played quite a lot of this 4th position. I think his hero is just pretty weak in the offlane these
I think
days.
it can also. I think it can still be like left open a bit though. I think it's more than likely Lil, but I think that's what they're kind of like. You know, it doesn't really show your hand entirely. Very good versus the Ricky as well for the amp or for Corrosive Haze to reveal him
Almost
if he does
certainly
show.
a Lil. They very
Very rarely.
rarely played anywhere else.
And one of the big surprises, I thought I'd be seeing more of this hero. Now with all these, 4 roamers getting banned, we just haven't seen Slaughter come out, and I thought it was really powerful in the early stages of 7.0.
Too many nerfs, and I think the bounty Ricky, like you don't counter their lane, like lane stage invis. You don't have amp. You have to get level 6, and it's so much harder
absolutely.
to get level 6. I think that is a big reason why Slaughter fell off. Because getting that level 6 as a roamer is quite tough. Ricky doesn't need level 6.
Yeah.
His level 6 ulti is not that good until late game. So.
Slaughter's got a pretty high win rate, 72% actually here. So that's
Hasn't been picked as huge.
hasn't been getting picked too much. Yeah, it's only seven times, but still pretty substantial. Ooh. So they go for the Darkseer. So they're going their kind of combo thing that they like to do. The pressure lane as well with the Darkseer Slaughter. They see, it's a Ricky. So I think that's kind of the approach they want to take. They're like, okay, Ricky isn't really the greatest for lanes, so if we put pressure on the safe lane, he has to kind of make his attention toward us, or we're going to really pressure their safe lane super hard. And I think that's a good approach for VP as well. We talked about Paparazi. He probably needs to have a pretty good game for IGV. If they punish him and just like kind of shut him down in laning phase, it could really hurt IGV.
What kind of heroes can you easily run against Slaughter Darkseer here? With a Ricky Warlock's spot not bad, but the Ricky doesn't offer anything.
The Imba for IG Vitality. So what are we looking for Virtus.pro Rams's hero, I guess?
Mid
no,
lane.
he'll be
No
Ursa,
one.
won't he?
Yeah.
He'll take the Ursa. So it's a no one?
Yeah, there's some team like Weehaw would play the Ursa mate against Ember, but I don't think that's VP
I mean,
style.
Ramses was his most picked since 7.0, so it's very likely that he'll take the Ursa. So we're looking for a no one hero. There's plenty of options here because they haven't really banned against him.
He'll wait and see what the last overall pick is first. So they get the 10th pick of the draft. So how well Medusa can do against Ember, that may be something they consider, but it's also a bit slower pace, which may not be something VP want.
Just Skywrath mid.
I mean,
they already played it in the
versus
groups,
Ember,
that's why I half joke.
honestly, versus Ember, that's a pretty hard lane for Ember Spirit.
One thing that can hit buildings, though, I feel like
Yeah,
that's...
more than likely.
I mean, Ursa
they're
could
definitely
a Deso build, but I think you need a building hitter.
They're definitely going to have some trouble getting on high ground if they're going to end up picking that hero.
I think the Shadow Fiend is probably the more likely.
SF, Dusa, TA's actually TA's been huge this tournament.
Yeah.
Very big.
Works really well with the Slaughter.
The lane's okay, versus Ember not great, but it's like you can still play it versus Ember. I like SF because it's mixed magic and physical. Like you can still fight into the Guardian Angel. Like
exactly.
Pop a GA against a TA, and TA is doing no damage during that.
And they already have
sorry. So no, they've also. I was going to say they played the Terrorblade a little bit, but it's more Ramses that's played that anyway.
They have the mech carrier as well. So Shadow Fiend maybe in early on he struggles a little bit, but Darkseer if he goes for a mech early on, they have CM aura.
Jug was like I guess the only real. I mean, it's not great against Slaughter Darkseer, but it's at least better than the rest.
They've drafted some Spectre and stuff, but that gets pressured way too hard.
Sven, actually
so they go for the Sven.
A few Svens, but
So Sven with Repel, good versus the Corrosive Haze. But laning phase versus Darkseer is playing versus Iron Shell as Sven is actually pretty annoying in laning phase.
Anyone got an 8-ball for the final pick?
Which ones did we already say? We said the Shadow Fiend, we said the TA.
OD?
I don't know if it's TA anymore. OD just got banned.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I was going to say.
Skywrath, we sort of talked about a little bit.
Knowing Virtus.pro, the best part is it could be anything.
No one has played at this event. Storm, Timber, Ember, Skywrath, SF.
I really think this is a great Dusa game.
You like Dusa?
I mean, maybe it's on a VP hero. If it was,
I was about to say, do you feel it fits their style very well?
I think it's the one that fits. It adds a lot of elements. It gives them a base hitter. It gives them late game scaling potential as well. I mean, I really like
nothing
VP's
funky for game one, guys. Nothing funky. They're just going to play this nice and calmly. Right then, Mr. 100% over here.
VP. This is probably one of the predictors I have to think the least about today. Could be wrong. I mean, I'd love for a close game or an upset, but I really think VP.
Okay, all right, Conrad.
Virtus.pro as well.
Yeah.
I think they got these heroes that I think they're comfortable on and I think they're going to do very well with.
VP.
It was pretty easy. Look, even production had already done the logo
They
for
know
you,
me.
but they know you by now. They've got this. Right then, 3 clean sweeps for Virtus.pro here on the panel. They all agree, but do our commentary team agree? As we head over there once more for our final series of the night and the very first game. Good luck, CIS fans. Your Virtus.pro are here to do you proud, but IG Vitality are no pushovers.
Welcome everybody here to what is going to be an amazing crowd. It is the Russian team Virtus.pro going up against Invictus Gaming Vitality. I'm Toby One here with the amazing Purge.
Hey man,
Are you ready?
I'm excited. The crowd filled out real good. We knew that was going to happen though. This is the home team crowd more or less.
Yep.
And they're excited to see who wins this one.
And they don't even care what time it is. We can burn through the midnight oil, and we're going to be here until we find out if Virtus.pro go home and everyone has to drink some sad vodka tonight, or if it's going to be celebration vodka being drunk.
The draft is a bit interesting. On the opening, it's a hero that's been trending a little bit the last day, basically. A lot more Omni picks. And instantly, VP had a solution. It's the instant Ursa draft. So it's kind of similar to what we saw in the last game, actually. Was that it was a favorable 1v1 matchup. Volvo had to play the... oh god, I forgot the hero already. He had to do a 1v1 Magnus versus a Lifestealer, which is a tough lane with a Monkey King. He got punished pretty heavily in the laning stage because of it. So if VP can do a similar thing with the Ursa against the Omni Knight, that's exactly what they want. So they got to scout out their lanes. They did that right now. And now they need to try to put the lanes in a place that's going to give them an easy matchup and allow their supports to do whatever they want.
Well, it's the classic easy matchups too, right? Like the Darks here as well as the Slar together for Virtus.pro. No one on his SF. And then you got Ramses and Solo to go top lane. Looks to be the way it's going to fall out. But at the same time, like Ricky, the guy who's on your screen right now, Dogfights will be in charge of him. He's been the biggest disruptive force so far in the Kiev Major. And where does he really focus? Like, what is he meant to be stopping? Apart from potentially stealing a bounty rune and giving away first blood, because there is potentially dust.
I mean, there's a lot of really good things that Ricky can definitely do. Split experience with whoever's jungling is one of them. Show up unexpectedly across the map. Those are really solid things, kind of similar to Monkey King does. But Ricky lately has even been scaling better as a core, actually. Well, as a support, but semi into a core.
Transitioning into that semi.
It doesn't take a whole lot of agility items for this guy to hit really hard, so... It's a possibility. You never know. Against an Ursa and an SF, maybe not. Maybe not this game.
He also has that wonderful combination, right? I think it was AUI who was describing it as a cheap version of a Finger of Death. By having the Ricky stand next to a target, then you purify on that target. It's something you can't really prepare for unless you have the vision. And Dogfights is actually doing it to Solo. Like, this is meant to be his time to find the farm. And he frostbit Ursa. He can't even kill it off. And he has to use his second frostbite to get Ricky off his tail.
Yeah, this really hurts tempo, actually. Crystal Maidens love to get a fast level 2. You can easily hit it by about 115, especially with the Hellbear camp. Just frostbite both of those. So it delays his 2, which means it delays his mana aura. That hurts Lil on the Slardar. That hurts maybe the Ursa a little bit, depending on how often you use Overpower, and certainly the mid player as well.
Dogfights is doing exactly what IGV wanted from him. I haven't even really been paying attention to the other lanes, just because I'm watching how much he is shutting down this Crystal Maiden. Again, another Frostbite, which isn't going to actually end in... Well, actually, the Wild Wing has less life, so it does go down, unlike the Ursa.
And there's no magic resistance aura is the big thing, actually. They actually have the same life now. Hellbear Smasher has got nerfed in that way. But the magic resistance aura is definitely the big part. Either way, the experience gets split, which is... really impactful, actually. Dogfights will hit 2.
Ooh, he's actually coming underneath that sentry ward.
They're not going to get a kill, though.
If they're smart about it, the fact that Lil kept running up, he didn't indicate the fact that he saw Dogfights. But with Frostbite and Crush, is that even enough to kill the Ricky?
They don't even have Frostbite. He's still really short on mana. I mean, he is healing back up here. They're going to try to do it around the bounty. Very smart.
He's just on the edge of the range, but the fact there's 2 of them here, they're going to dust up. The courier is in the neighborhood, so Dogfights tries to make a break for the tree line. He's got a little bit longer left for that dust. The Crusher's there. Dogfights, will he survive? Still going for the tree line. The dust is wearing off, and Dogfights, he's back. Invis, where's the sentry ward? Solo doesn't have it. Lil goes for the blind crush, and the dust is on cooldown for another 11 seconds. Dogfights is burning so much time and resources of the VP supports.
Oh, man, they just don't have enough damage. Crystal Maiden 38 on average, and Ricky's got decent base armor 4, so despite the super low speed here, just
Is
And
it,
Lil
Lil,
gets him with
he
the
do it
dust.
again? Dustin searched for the knew he was running out of there with the Iron Shell burn damage. They give Pasha the first blood here in game 1.
It took some doing. They had to get a little creative, but ultimately works out. The Sentry Ward spots him on the retreat, so he knew exactly where he was on the Iron Shell. That's a whole lot better than a CM right-clicking.
A lot more damage. All right, so now that the Ricky's down for a little bit, let's actually check out our other lanes. So the mid, it looks to be pretty good for no one so far. 18 for 9 up against a 7-1 Ember Spirit. This has not been Paparazi's lane, even though he does have a good creep wave coming down to him. On bottom lane, the Darkseer up to 12 for 2, up against the Sven, 14-7, so pretty evenly matched up there. And then Ramses, the Ursa, 17-5 against InJuly, but as expected, this Omni Knight's been able to get in very close, get a lot of experience, as well as CS to boot.
Yeah, and now he's going to do the strong thing, which is just harass the heck out of the Ursa using Purify. He is getting really good levels considering the fact, but that's because the supports basically had to leave to deal with the Ricky. They didn't necessarily both have to be there. They get the first blood. And yes, Omni's getting more than he should this game considering the Ursa matchup, but like we saw earlier, no one's really winning his lane. And that's a lane that Ember Spirit doesn't want to play. You don't want to play Ember Spirit versus Shadowfang. If you go into melee range, he's got 2-3 raise potential against you, especially with the CM Aura.
Dogfights is actually so smart in this one. Oh, is he? The courier is waiting him out. Now, he wants to actually get the bottle when it's empty. It's going to be a lot slower, a lot more manageable for him, but VP's already on the mark. They let the speed boost go. Courier is back to safety. And Dogfights already rotates out of the lane.
I love what Solo did here, too. He started in the jungle, but he moved over in the point where Ricky could be near his position, and he jungled where his sentry was from previous, which basically guarantees that he's not going to get experience split, really. It's not going to get last hit. They're not going to set up ganks. It's a very small play, but absolutely really significant here, because faster level 3 means even more mana.
Yeah, both those supports are having a great time. The fact that Ricky is still level 1, 4.5 minutes in, Dogfights can almost become like that bounty hunter kind of style where you just hunt the bounty runes. Okay, came in range of the tower. That doesn't help you at all. This is not like the initial Ricky interference seemed to be really good, but VP, they've adapted. They've adapted very quickly.
So something else a little interesting. Paparazi was playing mid this game, actually. Very typically actually plays the safe lane with Sakata in the mid lane, but guess they swap it up with Ember Spirit and the Sven.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. Didn't get
still the results of that 1v1 tournament at DAC.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. He did win it, Paparazi, in the mid player right now.
Well, they switched the DAC matchup straight after that. Like, Paparazi was mid for every game after that, I believe.
Okay, gotcha. Is that all it took? Oh, you won the 1 wins? Maybe we should put you in.
No, we have to class him as the best mid in the world.
We didn't get to catch their games on the group stage, unfortunately, so... he does pick up level 5 at a reasonable time. He's got a bottle for himself. Still a little underfarmed on the Ember, but, I mean, it's typical jungle time. He'll let up jungle, use Flame Guard to accelerate in that way. And here comes the first big rotation. Now, this is a place where Slaughter is going to be way more effective with Iron Shell. Doesn't have that much damage by himself. Disable's good, but that's about
Sakata
it.
not realize what's going on. That smoke gank wrap around. Here goes your crutch. He's in that Iron Shell damage. Is going to be there. Tries to war cry. Survivability. Still 6 stick charges up his sleeve. And Super, he's going to help out with a little bit of extra regeneration. So Virtus.pro really understanding just how tanky and survivable that Sven is.
Yeah, and they got 2 points in the Crystal Maiden Aura, so a little bit less disable. So it's not too surprising, but it does cost Sven some time and pushes the lane in and surely will make him play a little bit more safe. And even just a little pressure like that can make a big difference. Oh, they're waiting to grab the haste.
Lil kind of wants it. Dogfights might have to actually grab it as a crush from Lil. Creates some space, but Paparazi was capable of actually bottling up the haste rune.
It's a good snack. I actually didn't think he was going to get that on time. So for
Solo,
sure it'd be someone else.
he's in Batman's land. It's the Paparazi just charging forward. The perfect steering chains. He can't frostbite himself out of that one. Paparazi able to get a nice, easy kill. Catching Solo out, but Solo did get his job done. He got that aggressive Dire Observer Ward in.
And it only took 4 heroes, right, Toby? That's all chat. It's time. It's the perfect moment. Call them idiots for being there, maybe. Definitely effective kill.
He was just in the neighborhood for the rune. That was all.
Yeah. It's definitely nice that when they found him, it was long after he placed the ward as well, so it wasn't as obvious. That ward's really going to help control like where the Warlock is, what level he is, things like that.
Lil actually noticed that for half a second. He bumped in to Dogfights and got body blocked up for just a short fraction of a second. The ping came very quickly too. But he didn't actually notice the Observer Ward. Obviously, he can't. Dogfights got that up next to the shrine. So they're able to have a lot better vision around SF and understand when he goes to the jungle. And they should understand that too. There's already 1 stack being prepared for him.
That's definitely a great place to potentially gank. Ember Spirit can It's decent mobility. As long as you don't get spotted on the way into the jungle, if Ricky knows exactly where you are, it's always going to have to be something that SF worries about. But he's really farming well right now. 53 last hits on him, 56 on the Ursa as well. So I think VP's in a great spot right now. I thought maybe the Ricky roam would accomplish a whole lot, but it's been okay.
Speaking of accomplishing things, what is VP looking to accomplish? Like, you get farm on Ursa, does Roshan become the point then? And can they even do that against the IGV lineup?
Yeah, so I think what they're doing this game, they opened very rapidly with the Ursa CM, I believe. Grabbed an Ursa, or a Slaughter third pick, which is amping up the physical damage, of course.
Cool. Hello, bottom lane. Get that stun in nice and quick. Pasha already had the surge up. Plus stick charger, so he will survive this.
So they grab the Slaughter as well to amplify the physical damage, give some roaming potential, and the SF pick really revealed a lot because it's basically their hero that's going to hit buildings. We've seen a lot this tournament so far, but he's going to be amplified further by Slaughter. Maybe the Darkseer will help a little bit, but basically Ursa's the one that's going to try to set the tempo here. I mean, he's a pretty good counter against, like, he's okay against Sven. I would say he's pretty good against Ember sometimes, but absolutely, like, fast Vlads, Blink Dagger, take Roshan's, and the Vlads will help the SF hit buildings, and they can back them up and kill heroes they really need to.
So then the question kind of remains, how is IGV going to fight against them? Do we look for that then healing timing from the Omni Knight? Do we actually also ask the earlier game question, how long does it take for Warlock to get his rock?
Yeah, he's doing okay, though. Right now he's got his own lane. The Sven is a great carry for just hitting up the jungle. He's got Treads now, Morbid Mask, and a Quelling Blade, so Sven's very happy to hit creeps.
This feels very, very reminiscent of what EG used to do with Fear.
Yeah.
Like, just pull him off that safe lane and then just let that critical level 6 hero get the farm.
Yeah, it's a really good strategy to do. And Super should be pretty survivable in his lane, so I think it's a great opportunity. With that said, the Observer is going to spot this out, I think. They definitely saw Sven approaching the Bounty Rune. He grabbed the Bounty Rune, and now he's going to hit the jungle. So with knowing Sven is there, that should make the potential of them TPing the bot lane, jumping on Warlock, killing him, and taking the tower. That would be really beneficial. Because if they don't take this tower, actually, Warlock will get a 6 at a relatively good spot, in my opinion. And that would actually hurt the game a lot, because then they're going to be better able to take a fight against VP when they actually do go for aggressive things.
It seems like a gamble. Like, if VP commit to that and they don't actually pull off the bottom tower push, then IGV are going to get the space they want. They're going to get the space as Sven to farm. You commit to the bottom as well. Like, do you want to actually more shut down that Radiant top lane? Look for the Ancient area, which you have to control, so Sven just can't flash farm with his cleave.
Well, it's not really the same as it used to be. It's a lot harder to stack Ancients repeatedly. There are two camps,
just because
obviously.
of the timing now?
Yeah, it's absolutely more about his jungle, the safe lane jungle. Like, and I'd be so much more worried about the easy farm that Warlock can get. Like, if you gank somebody pre-6 and take the tower right after, their jungle safety is so much less. And even sitting in lane as a Warlock, it feels less safe. So if they are successful in killing a Warlock, taking a safe lane tier 1 tower, opens up the whole jungle. Ursa is a big threat in other places on the lane. Maybe like Slardar plus another hero is as well. So I feel like that would open up the map decently. Like heroes like Ember Spirit who have to hit jungle camps, play semi-safe in lane. Those heroes are all under threat in that way. If they do get a early pressure off and take the safe lane. And I wouldn't be too surprised to see them do a possible rotation. I mean, SF already has really good levels here, or he could spend some time mid, doesn't necessarily have to come with.
Paparazi's actually up on the top lane at the moment. Ricky's going to come and join him. Ursa is still in jungle, so maybe it is Lil who is that primary target. InJuly is playing very aggressively already, so it's not going to be that odd. It is an Omni Knight with 2 points up in the Degen aura, so it's not unusual for him to actually approach into Lil. And when you get something like that, Dogfights can just blink up, put the smoke screen down, but they don't want to fight just yet. They're getting aggressive. If you can just get the secondary nuke out, InJuly wins this, or they can just do that. Spirit jump forward, they ensure it's Paparazi who finds the kill.
That was perfect timing on the smoke screen to interrupt any possibility of forcing out another Fire Remnant. That would have been the best case scenario for Lil, really. I don't think he survives that anyway, so.
And it's IGV to do exactly what we're talking about. So it's not the Warlock getting ganked, it's the Slaughter getting ganked, and VP having to move to react to IGV instead.
With that said, he is sprinting to the off lane, so this would be the time to dive tower, maybe. It's pretty clear that it's just Super down here, so they could maybe go in. But Solo's out of mana, kind of makes this whole approach a bit harder.
Actually, Lil? Okay, he's just TP top.
They'll turn things around. Actually, Ursa just using his Enrage here. It's kind of a big loss here. Low chance they want to fight.
He's coming for the 10-minute rune. InJuly can actually start with a Purification if they want to try and do a little bit more damage. Dogfights did also take the rune, so Ramses tries to turn around and fight. A quick little jump away. The repel's out for InJuly. He does have that GA plus Purification, and with Smokescreen, Lil does not want to fight this any further.
Yeah, they rotate up here because they anticipated their opponent's pressuring, so definitely better to go even.
TP in towards middle lane. No one's already done the damage, so Super will cancel his TP.
That's a huge kill. He did actually use the Mask of Madness. May have cost him a bit of extra life there due to Shadow Fiend already having his passive, but big kill for SF on the mid lane. And he actually went movement speed this game. I've never seen this before for SF. Movement speed over attack speed. Very interesting.
VP, you can't outrun the SF now, but they make the most out of the space SF has created, so no one gets the kill on this event. Instantly, Ramsey smoked up and went inside the pit. He's here with Solo, who's almost playing like Kevin Costner right now. Like, this is the bodyguard around Roshan. But with the rage up, this is one very, very dead Roshan, and nothing that IGV can do to stop it.
Yeah, very smart to use a smoke for that. A lot of Ursus will shy away from that just because half the time your Roche gets interrupted, but not only does it get them into the pit for sure, it also makes sure that the Riki isn't nearby, so they don't have to worry about putting a sentry down. They save their money. All it costs them is a smoke. So kind of dual purpose there that really pays off.
IGV's coming again. Two-man smoke up InJuly. He's just walking it out. The Observer Ward, there is none. Like, there's 2 Observer Wards around the pit, but they don't actually see IGV moving. So Paparazi, if he wants to commit, which he will, Spirit's forward. The Searing Chain is holding Lil in position. Another Spirit in. Paparazi really wants to be the man to get this kill. But IGV, they're happy to take a fight if Virtus.pro will oblige.
I think VP is fine with that as well. They're not really ready to fight just yet. So they'll
IGV are going to make a fight on bottom. Pasha's actually going to be in a lot of trouble. Dogfights is already on top of him. Body blocks him while Pasha is trying to surge away. It's wasted so much time of that surge. It's only level 2. Now Lil, what can he do? In through the tree lines. A quick crush, keeping InJuly out. With that purification, it would have been a guaranteed kill over on Pasha. But now Pasha is able to search for a second time and escape on the bottom lane.
And Darkseer would have killed Riki like 2 times over there with that Ion Shell damage. It's very impactful, but nice rotation from Lil just in time to help keep him alive. He's going to be rushing Fast Midas on InJuly. Not too unexpected considering what people have been buying lately. Sakata going average build too. Tread's Mask of Madness getting popular. SNY afterwards, so he's worried about mobility. And that's, I think, why the Shadow Fiend picked up the mobility talent as well, the 15 movement speed. Because there are pretty weak disables on IGV. We just saw it against the Darkseer. They can just walk away sometimes.
Ramsey is beating down that top tower with the Aegis Immortal behind him. He wants to force the buildings, obviously not the team fights. Going into Warlock is not really his desire, but he may not have a choice. IGV are bringing the numbers up. The only person they don't have here just yet is Riki, but Ramsey's just surged in to the middle of IGV. They want him to fight, but now you're on top of the Radiant Shrine. Ursa Purification, there goes the Aegis Immortal. Nothing huge had to be committed to that until now. God's Strength is up. He's actually silenced after a rock wall fall with a fatal Bolt's Guardian Angel will actually have to protect them for a little bit longer, but VP, they are way too strong, muscling their way over IG Vitality, Shrine or no Shrine, and never even got triggered. Virtus.pro just slapped IGV down.
That was insane movement from Ramses there. I thought that was the dumbest thing I had ever seen, and it just forced them all to group up. It looked like the most obvious kill. The VP had to run around a very inefficient way, but by the time he stayed alive, he gets his ultimate off, which guaranteed that the damage he took in that first burst was heavily reduced, and it bought his team time to get the Requiem off, get the slow, the minus armor on the important heroes, and they win a huge team fight while taking the offlane tower.
And exactly what VP wanted. We can have a quick look at it again. So it starts off with this. Ramses being the ultimate bait. The bait that's meant to die, and then on the third day he will rise again. Surrounded by IGV, but in comes Pasha. The rock looked like it was going to mess them up heavily.
They all just died to magic damage, basically. They got Guardian Angel off. No one had the easiest little team fight there. And maybe one crucial moment was the Riki was out of mana there. No smoke cloud to prevent the Ursa from casting a rage. If they had the smoke cloud, that very easily could have been Ursa dying and an entirely different team out. Look at that smile here. It's like, oh, that was pleasant.
Easiest day of your life was the same for Solo, just a freezing field. Who was it was saying earlier today? I think it was Cinder. It's just like, yeah, there's always a reason why you get the freezing field point nice and early on, especially before that level 10. He had it at 7, and Virtus.pro, the combination just hit perfectly. And it's not many teams who are able to win a fight when you get hit by such a heavy rock. In middle lane, Ember Spirit, there is the defensive one behind. Up next to his Ancient, so Paparazi will be away. But they have to be careful now. Blink Dagger over on Ramses. with Vlad's, he wants to fight.
You know, Toby, that's a moment where not having Freezing Field would have got them an Ember kill. Did you know that? If he had one more point in a Frostbite, that was a dead Ember Spirit, 100%.
Yeah, but
100%.
we are not debating that one, Perch.
He did. It was good the previous fight, but...
Oh, the back. Pasha, he knew something was there. They put down the sentry ward. As, well, Dogfights just felt like they knew everything VP did.
Wow.
Leaned towards like they did know, but there was no gem, there was no detection, and he was baited in to the tricks of the trade.
I think that vacuum is for a different hero, and the only reason that they realized is because the Ricky ulti came out.
Yep.
But when you get vacuumed from trees as an Invis hero, that seems pretty clear like they know you're there.
Yep.
I don't know. And they're going to start hitting the high ground buildings.
Yep, this is not even 16 minutes in, and no one's the first one to attack, and you got Lil, he's hunting. This guy doesn't even have a blink dagger. He was the one that IGV was shutting down, so you wouldn't have that jump in initiation from Aslana.
VP doesn't for sure think they're going to get a Rax here. They try to see what happens, force rotations. In the meantime, Ember Spirit was split pushing top, so they had to back by Omens. And they also landed a really good Fatal Bonds, catching like 4 heroes, which would have forced VP to wait at least like 20 seconds or chance a really bad team fight. So
does it feel like a bad time when Paparazi has to buy his own 4-staff to escape from the Ursa? Like his supports can't actually do enough team fight control that you got an Ember Spirit buying a 4-staff.
And that's the thing you do against like Ricky's, but they have the Ricky. He's got to worry about the Ursa, nothing else, I guess. But it is really scary. Same goes for against the Slardar. If Slardar can initiate on him properly or somebody else on his team, and if they just get killed at the start of the fight, no good. Got to keep them alive. And even saving Omni Knight or Warlock can be really important.
And IG Vitality need to get control of this game back. Yeah, the graph started to kick up a little bit. It was about 6,000 experience and roughly about 7,000 to 8,000 worth of net worth going their way, and the net worth at least flatlined. But as a lot of that can probably come down to what we're seeing from Sven. You're getting that flash farm, you're getting him back up to the point where he wants to be, but there's no huge combo with him either. Like, we're not looking at the Darkseer being on his team. We talk about the counter with a 4-staff to the Ricky Maru. He kind of wants to have the Darkseer with him to go back into Stormbolt, get the big cleave.
Yeah, Toby, haven't you ever seen the Ember Spirit 4-staff the Sven into the Stormbolt? Never?
No.
That's a combo right there.
No, I'm assuming that will be just as good as Stormbolting a ball.
Could work. With that said, Sven's going to be backed up by Omni. That's maybe the safer combo that they have. But I would definitely agree they're lacking some team fight here. Oh, I got it. Fatal Bonds and Sven. There you go.
If you can keep them close enough for the cleave. Like
I mean, yeah, but start off a little cleave. Maybe you don't do Fatal Bonds AoE amplification later, but you're still going to be killing somebody, right?
Yep.
He's going to be fast. Shadow Fiend does have a BKB, though. This is pretty crucial.
Real trouble right now. Sakata was trying to run himself out. Has to go for the quick stun over on the Earth. So wish you had that 4-star from the Ember Spirit to help you out there. 48 seconds on the sideline after a good movement down for the kill. Even no one's playing with Paparazi in the mid. He hits like a truck.
Yeah, he really does right now. Even the Sven using his armor skill looked absolutely squishy against Slardar, and that's the power of Ursa. That's a hero that was very, very dominant right before this tournament, and then no team was picking Ursa all of a sudden. It's like the first time I've seen him, I think.
And VP first phase it.
Yeah, against an Omni Knight,
in fact, it didn't even first phase it. It was first picking it.
Well,
it was up with their combination.
It was in response to the Omni pick. They wanted that matchup advantage. Very similar to what we saw last series. The lanes are, it's just so important, really.
Yep.
Get gold advantage in that way, lets your other heroes do what they want. VP slightly inefficient to the Ricky reaction, but they reacted well. And in the meantime, allows your top tier mid player no one to just wreck the other guy in a matchup advantage. I mean, they had 2 matchup advantages, the safe lane, the mid lane.
Dogfight's actually got hit by the dust. VP, they're going for the spidery senses. Oh, Lil, he needs a first hit bash. Lost an attack moving, very difficult.
That's very difficult without the bash skill.
That is also very difficult because he went for the 4-4-0-1.
Yeah, that's the build you do. Anything else sucks, basically. Unless you're in like a 1v1 or something.
Just pray to the RNG gods.
Dogfits does.
VP
spot.
didn't do that for Roshan. Like, they have to wait over 2 minutes before Roshan's going to be up. And if they were able to pick that up a little bit earlier, forcing that tier 2 tower up on the top lane and then actually making plans for the high ground would have been a lot more simple for them.
With that said, though, they're in such a safe place right now. Shadow Fiend's insanely outfarming this one. He's actually got 50% more net worth. What the hell is going on?
Get a full Diffusal Blade under 20 minutes is well done for an Ursa. Like, it's not even just the SF being ahead.
Have fun Omni Knight, I guess. Like, Guardian Angel is not going to do anything. And it counters the Ember Spirit. And it counters the Sven. You can remove Warcry. You can remove Flame Guard. It's actually so good this game. So if they're on the right targets, they're going to die. It's pretty straightforward. Even Ursa's great at killing the Inferno Golem. Like, that takes you an overpower probably, but that's a great thing to finish off at the start. And now the Roche control starts.
Oh, it's a nice sentry ward, but it doesn't see up on the hill. One defensive spirit, Solo. He was actually trying to go for it. The jump forward, Paparazi. Where's the lockdown? The smoke screen's there. Solo will fall. Roshan's still not alive just yet, but it's Lil trapped inside the pit. Will they have enough? The rock will perfectly connect on Virtus.pro with the better box, with the backseat. Right, oh my. Sakata's not done just yet. They're still looking for the kill over on the SF. The Stormbolt's going to be there. They bring him down. The ensemble streak is ended in Ramses. He is upheavaled. He is slowed down so heavily that Sven will get a huge triple kill around Roshan about 15 seconds before the big man is up.
A little too confident from VP there. They drop the sentry. They're like, oh, whatever, I can ping this out, but it leads to a bad initiation where Crystal Maiden is caught out and easily killed. And it looks so good with the vacuum into the Requiem, but the important thing was Paparazi picking up this really early Blink Dagger. No BOTs, straight into Blink. And because of that, he was able to easily stay alive until the Shadow Fiend BKB runs out. And then he guaranteed that Sven could actually catch up and kill the people he needed to. This is the big damage dealer. It's Sven. And surprisingly, that BKB on the SF didn't feel that good. It got interrupted by Infernal Golem, and then it runs out and it feels like the hero's just easily killable.
Well, Solo was sleeping through the fight. And they go. So this is the whole fight again. So to start it off, this is where Solo is completely out.
Lil, no abilities off cooldown yet, so he gets killed for free as well. And it's already like a 3v5 against them. It's like Pasha almost getting cleaned up as well after the Requiem.
Dogfights. Dust quick murderer on the bottom lane. For that fight, it was actually 1,500 for the Sven he earned and just over 1,000 for the Ember. So it's not even just piled into one. Like the two big cores got over 2.5k themselves. Not to mention all the experience they gained. They actually hit both 2,335 XP gain from just that fight. Skyrocket them up now. Sven to 17 and Ember close to 16.
All right, are we going to see a repeat here?
Well, you don't have Rock. 48 seconds down, so it's going to be difficult.
No Guardian Angel.
Defensive Spirit up from Paparazi. He's looking to make that jump. Paparazi jumps in. Roshan is killed off by the Dire. Ramses the Aegis Immortal, but with the cleave damage, Sakata is actually committed into this. InJuly needs to get him out. The back three-man wall and clutch! Lil, now is his turn with Solo dropping the ulti. VP, it's not just a badly lost team fight and Roshan gone. It's 3 heroes down without buyback.
That is not good. That's what their fight should have looked like in the last one, but with no CM, no Slardar, it's just the Requiem vacuum. That one looked unstoppable, though. You can't do anything about a 2-second AoE stun with follow-up there. And they still have Roche kill, and they still have the Aegis on Ursa.
Oh boy, this is Midrax. There is little to nothing that IGV can do to stop this.
The tower's
and then
going.
VP can back out if they want to, but Ursa has the Aegis. If he wants to fight, he can go for more.
Absolutely. If they can get a spot, maybe a hero out of position, they will go in, but...
You can see Lil twitching like a cat looking for a pigeon on the back lines. He is ready to blink in and crush anything that moves forward. But nothing will oblige, and VP will back out, claiming the first rack in under 24 minutes.
That's a huge advantage. Not only the barracks, of course, one of the earliest I've seen in a while, by the way, but also the shrines, of course. And if they get a gem, a little bit more map control, very difficult for IGV to get across the map. At least they do have Ember Spear with BOTs. He can fairly safely split push and push lanes without getting killed, but at some point the damage even of IGV is going to start falling off. The Butterfly's finished for the Shadow Fiend. At some point Ursa will probably grab an Aghanim Scepter as well. BKB first, though.
Let's watch that moment. This is one of those ones you want to almost slow down. So this is Pasha, the perfect vac wall combination. No one just raising from inside the pit. It looks almost too easy for Virtus.pro.
Glad he skilled his CM ulti for that one, too. That was a good ult. But really, I think one of the crucial moments was actually that amp damage came out after the repel from what it looked like. So it was, the Ursa was at like, what, 40% HP? So whatever, I'll hit this guy a couple times. 3 hits, and the Sven was already at half HP. Put him really low to start things off. That looks like a dead CM.
And it most definitely is. Paparazi just quick spirits away, and Dogfight's already on the run. The rest of VP were on their way, and they kind of wanted to come to the top lane anyway. Like, the Tier 2 tower is the next on their list. So, losing Solo, it's just something you accept.
Yep, as long as he's not holding the gem.
Yep.
Not the biggest loss. That guy actually needs a 4-staff right there. Glimmer Cape could work pretty well also. Ember Spirit's Syrian Chains will give vision, but definitely will reduce a lot of the damage at least.
And Dogfight's is really just trying to be so elusive on the top lane. I don't know if he's looking for something, because they left the Observer Ward behind now. But if you can keep the pressure on the top lane, like creep skipping it out, it will make VP think twice.
Yes, but it's not about creep skipping, it's about spotting enemy heroes, because he's basically looking for free gimme kills. Maybe courier snipes, things like that. That's what these wards are for, because nobody really expects there to be a ward here. If the creeps aren't here, nobody expects to have vision on them, really. So if you see them walking to a certain place, maybe say, oh, I think he's going to the large camp. That kind of stuff can give you the information you might need to grab a much-needed kill to get back in the game.
VP's on the hunt. They got a fresh Solar Crest over on Lil. That's their newest item for this engagement.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So,
minus 27 armor?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
IGV Vitality going to have a hard time staying alive. Like, you could say they might still have a little bit of damage here and there, but if you can't stay alive, you can't inflict damage.
Speaking of staying alive, Shadow Fiend picking up a Scotty now. A ton of raw HP to combo with the 35% evasion he's already walking around with. That's going to be amazing. And now, most importantly, Scotty's one of the best items you can ever have against a melee carry. So a hero like Sven, this guy's screwed if he starts getting hit, because he's got to have allies back him up, get him close to the Shadow Fiend, maybe with a Force Staff, or prevent the Shadow Fiend from attacking, just so he can't permanently slow the guy. But once he finishes this, it's looking pretty bad for IGV. They're already having damage problems, so if SF just keeps tanking up like Scotty into Satanic or something, I just don't really see how IGV gets the kill unless they're 5v1.
That's why I was looking for some kind of combo to work with either the Warlock or the Sven. Sven feels very underwhelming in combination with the rest of IGV.
I don't think that's necessarily the problem. I think it's more just that the Shadow Fiend has 50% more net worth than everyone. it looks like a Naga AM or something. Like, this guy's actually insane on Shadow Fiend. So definitely one of the best mids right now.
You're actually putting it down to no one? You did say the matchup wasn't nice for Paparazi.
It is not nice, and no one got a solo kill, and he's amazing. It's pretty straightforward, really. This guy is a very good Shadow Fiend player.
We can tick all those boxes on his resume for getting a job at VP. Oh, wait, he already has one.
He'll be good.
Oh, taunting as he's approaching.
It's worth it, man. This guy's, that's more than he ever says in interviews right there.
Do a little dance. That's how Sheeb's going to get the best out of a no-one interview. Get him to dance. Courier Kill's going to get sniped up. They were waiting for that one for a while, but when that tier 3 tower is dropping, VP knows what they need. Don't need couriers on the field. What you need is to kill off those racks and have IGV so intimidated to initiate on you that you just don't think you can do it, and you dodge it. The BKB is baited out by the Stormbolt. IGV didn't really look like they were planning on going in on that.
Yeah, it was a bit interesting. They do smoke. They're going for the chase, though.
Yeah. Well, now you know the BKB's gone. So if SF doesn't have his BKB, potentially they can actually find some pickoffs and get themselves back in the driver's seat of this game. So Spirit out forward, Paparazzi, another Spirit up. He'll find Ramsey, but now next to the Shrine, Ramsey just breaks free with Enrage.
Yep.
And goes home.
It's a great attempt at chasing for IGV, but VP is way too good for that one. And it was a great reaction from no one. In some ways, he did have to pop the BKB. He has to be a little worried about getting gone on, since the only safety they really have is, I guess they had a Force Staff. They probably could have saved him. Maybe a mistake there, but
like the counter initiation from Darkseer would have been what they had to commit. Like a blink back wall would be it to save him.
But it's kind of dangerous like that. So the stun comes out, pop your BKB, kind of waste it, but you got a Rax at 23 minutes. You're going to kill their Shrines. Their Shrines are actually gone already. Close the game out slowly. You don't throw it away in a best of 3 single elimination. No way.
Yeah, this is danger zone right here. Like, hey, I lose a game inside the Swiss system. I may not be able to rank up entirely on the top, and that did actually happen to VP. They ended up placing second out of everything.
That's pretty good, though.
That is definitely it's nothing to shrug your shoulders at.
Not bad.
Like, for IGV, we're actually second from the bottom. Hence, these two do match up here in the grid, but no risk. VP, no desire to choke. They're even like moving behind a little bit in the experience, but they know what's going to win them the game right now. Claim the racks, and they can just muscle their way through. Next Roshan doesn't potentially spawn up for just over a minute, so they're going to take the fight now, try and claim the racks, and get IGV into a really bad position. Either you win it now, or you win it in 5 minutes.
Look how safe they're playing this. They don't want to make the same mistake that DC made in Game 1. Have detection.
Paparazzi, he found Solar. They're not going to jump in.
Force F's not supposed. Don't want to put him onto a cliff like, what was that, Bernie?
Well, Dogfights has to go into the tricks and then a quick jump away, so Ricky Ulti's going to go down and no one's just doing his thing.
How do you kill this guy? He's got Solar Crest and Butterfly?
With dreams, hopes, and prayers is kind of it. The BKB triggers. He's baiting out the Requiem. It's like, come at me, bro, if you want to do it. Wait for the BKB to wear off. That's what Sven's doing with the back wall on the back lines. They may have enough with the Requiem of Souls. The damage is huge, and Solo, he's just letting it go. InJuly has to trigger off this Guardian Angel. They just couldn't do anything. They couldn't get any closer. In fact, Ramses, he can close the distance. They find one. Sven's down. Buyback. It may be essential if they want to actually hold anything more, because right now VP having had to commit heavily in. They can just go for the GG push. IGV, it is now or never. You fight or die. But they don't even have to do the fight or die. VP back up. Oh, the cross! It just missed. But Paparazi pitched out! The back will pull InJuly back into the fight too, but there's a die back on Paparazi. InJuly can't run away. Dogfight is trying to help him out. Same with the upheaval. And really, Sakata, what can you do? Kill off Ramses? No! Lil's back in again. The double crush. He'll sacrifice himself for the greater good. Under the upheaval of Super, Lil will die. But VP still managed to get a dieback and 2 buybacks out from that. And they still took 2 lanes of racks.
Just 1 buyback, actually. That was just the Ember Spirit, surprisingly, coming back.
That was Sven as well. He actually bought back to actually try and contest the fight.
Sorry, yeah,
it was the dieback from the Ember.
Yeah.
So he lost his money for his Daedalus.
That's tough, man. Especially after that one team fight from the earlier period where Sven just accelerated heavily. If you just would have got the Daedalus really rapidly, maybe get a lucky team fight here or there, the game could have looked so much better for IGV, but they're firmly on the back foot. VP's stomping team fights, forcing buybacks. They're doing such a good job of retreating right when things look a little dangerous as well. That's maybe the most impressive part about them playing from ahead here.
Well, they won't be able to retreat once they're inside the pit. So Roshan spawns up in just under a minute. In actually a minute, the Rock will come off cooldown for Super. So he'll have his team fight ability then. And that, for me, is where my eyes move next. Look for the Roshan control. 1 Observer was already down for IGV. But that's looking towards mid. You've still got a bloody tier 1 tower up in the mid lane for Virtus.pro.
Yeah.
Like, support can come so quickly if they want it.
From multiple ways, too. And they're going to smoke out. This is a perfect time to fight. It's unpredictable. The lanes are pushed really well, but unfortunately the scan comes out. They know exactly where IGV is standing. They know Roche is up. Dogfights gets the first spot here.
Hello, Solo. Go for that quick jump. Where's the damage, Dogfights? It's not there yet. Sven blinks himself forward, goes for the Stormbolt, able to actually catch out the Darkseer. But Paparazi, now with the Spirit away, he actually already is on the defense. Then back into a 2-man Warcraft. It's going to be enough to bring down both the Sven as well as the Omnut InJuly. Yes, he's down. And they don't really have anything more to fight with. They've lost everything. The whole enchilada is going down the drain pipe for IGV. And GG. Virtus.pro in 33 minutes will be able to claim game 1 against the Chinese team.
What an absolutely dominant game by VP. From the beginning to the end, they made so few mistakes. That I've never seen a team deal so well with Ricky Rome. It seemed a little bit overeager, but easily deal with the Ricky, easily dealt with mid. Their team fight coordination was amazing, and when they are winning the game, these guys do not mess around. 1 buyback, instantly back. BKB wasted, that's okay, we're winning. We'll wait another 30, 40, 50 seconds.
Yeah, I know in the group stage, it was mentioned about Virtus.pro that they're a team that understand the patience of the game. They don't have to dive like the Russians, but they have the tools, the skill, and the ability to actually force the engagements and push in, and that, for me, was a perfect example of that. It was perfect control from VP the entire game. And I just don't know how IGV mentally come back from such a defeat.
I mean, the laning, basically what they went into the game with their draft, they opened Omni Knight, instantly VP had a solution. And I don't know if you guys caught this, I don't know how fast panel went to it, but that was like 15, 30 seconds between the bans and 3 picks. It was just instant. All the picks come out and everything happened, and VP knew what to do.
Man, it was a beautiful play by VP. I cannot wait for game number 2 to see if IGV can actually give us a series or not. We'll find out. Is it possible?
That is the question, Toby1. Yes, indeed. After a dominant display by the hometown team, what can IG Vitality do for Game 2? Let's check out Game 1 first of all with our panel once more. We're back with Fog, Conrad, and Gods. Fog, we'll start with you. Has there been as an impressive game only today than that one?
I don't think so. I think VP executed to like near perfection. They knew exactly what they needed to the game. I think I've really liked what Lil did in the early game too. A lot of times you could see him, maybe he just had this like idea in his mind that, okay, I need to be dual laning with my Darkseer the whole time, putting pressure on the Sven. But he kept seeing the Riki messing with Solo, and Solo is pretty important to their plan to get the Arcane Aura levels up early on to win all 3 lanes, which is what VP loves to do. So he sacrifices himself a bit, runs around with the dust, trying to find dogfights, and he finds him a couple times. So I really liked what Solo did, or what Lil did in this game in the beginning.
Really, that was a great plan, guys, wasn't it? We haven't always seen the Riki roam kind of punished like that.
Yeah, I mean, they even messed up the very first dust gank, but it was just this idea that, like what Fog said, secure the CM jungle, and then eventually they do start getting those kills, and they do make sure that dogfights is ineffective. And I think not only is it about securing their own draft, it's also about shutting down that pretty key IGV player. I feel like some teams, like you look at a certain player, like who do you want to have a slow start? And I think with IGV, it is dogfights. As much as they succeed around Paparazi, it's dogfights who always enables them. If dogfights can create space, Paparazi does well. And there's nothing dogfights can do is getting constantly having 2-3 heroes on him. So
they often rely on him to set the tempo of what they're going to do in the game, and they just couldn't do anything around him, could they?
No, nothing.
No. Conrad, what do you make of VP? Very impressive display, wasn't it?
Yeah, can't get the tempo started if you don't have a beat. They really shut them down that entire game there. For me, Ramses and No One just did their jobs to flawlessly. Were able to win their lanes, pretty handily, and just kind of continue carrying on into the late game. Especially No One, who just ended up getting farmed like crazy.
I really like they did it pretty much instantly, so I don't even know if it was like a response to the Omni Knight, but maybe they were kind of just preemptively expecting IGV to pick it. But with that instant Ursa pick, it left them that they were like, okay, CM and Slaughter can do whatever the hell they want in this game.
Yeah.
Ursa 1v1 versus Omni Knight is pretty tough, at least especially it seems so too. InJuly went to the jungle because one rotation comes in and you're dead every single time to an Ursa and that. So
MVP?
Talk about it. I think we'll go with Pasha. He made some of the big plays, the vacuums around the Roshan pit, the game-winning fights. He was the setup for a lot of it, so he made the flashy plays when they were needed. So I think everyone on VP did their role, and it was such a dominant game where they basically stomped this game, other than that one Roche fight that IGV won, that it's hard to pick an MVP, but Pasha probably stands out.
I wrote a couple of notes down, which was great mid matchup, calm, collective, perfect. Don't think I've had such a positive card written down for the whole tournament. What is going on? It's gonna take a small miracle for IG Vitality to come back into this, isn't it?
Yeah, after such a massive, devastating loss, I think it's really hard to reset yourself, especially when they're playing versus the crowd in a way as well. You could see them screaming and yelling and everything that was going on too. So I think it's going to be really hard for them to bounce back.
Bit of cheeky from Lou in there as well. A little smug smile halfway through.
Very.
Caught that little camera there,
yeah, nicely done. Okay, we're going to talk more about our upcoming game and, of course, move towards the draft for Game 2 to see whether IG Vitality can get back into it. But first, let's catch up with No One, who caught up with Shiva just before the round of 16.
No One for Virtus.pro.